Hi, I am Chris Williams in the Office of Assessment Accountability, and today I'm going to bring you the 2025-2026 WIDA Alternate Access Back to School Training. We're going to start with Module 1, which is the WIDA Screener for Kindergarten and WIDA Screener Online. So let's begin. There are 5 module trainings for the WIDA Access and WIDA Alternate Access. And so Module 1 is what we're going to start with the screeners. And then we'll go into Module 2, which is the identified EL students. Then Module 3, WIDA Secure Portal. 4 is WIDA AMS. And 5 is more information for access and alternate access to get you started. So let's begin. Module 1, WIDA Screener for Kindergarten and WIDA Screener Online. What we're going to be talking about throughout this module is about the home language survey, the guidance that we have. Also, there will be screener background for you, webinars, and resources and timelines to help you with this work with screeners, with both of them. Let's talk about the home language survey. Of course, with the home language survey, you always want to give that to each new student in the district who has not had this home language survey before anywhere else. And the 4 required questions that you're going to go over is, what is the language most frequently spoken at home? Which language did your child learn when he or she first began to talk? What language does your child most frequently speak at home? And what language do you most frequently speak to your child? If the answer to any of these 4 required questions is another language other than English, then what you're going to do, your next step is to administer the screener. And that'll be the WIDA Screener for kindergarten if they're in kindergarten, and then the WIDA Screener online for grades 1 through 12. Now, you're going to do the WIDA Screener online. The test setup is through WIDA AMS, which is the WIDA Assessment Management System. And then if you're going to administer the WIDA Screener for kindergarten, which is a paper assessment, it is downloadable and free to all districts from the WIDA Secure Portal underneath resources, and you'll be able to print all of that information. Now, for passwords to get to the WIDA Secure Portal and to WIDA AMS, you always want to go through your district assessment coordinator. They're going to be the ones who will, they have a Google form that they will be able to add you, any new staff who needs the trainings for screener, and then also for access, and the WIDA, the e-learning courses as well. So just want to make sure that that you go through your district assessment coordinator in your district first. And then once you're on that Google form, then I will create your accounts for you. And I try to do those in a timely manner, but remember that I do those for the entire state of Kentucky. And so it's for whoever, I go in order of who has put it on there first, and then go forth and do those accounts for you. But keep in mind that you want to always make sure that with that Google form as a district assessment coordinator, that you are also, putting anyone that's no longer in your district, because you always want to update that information as well. So that way we can remove that information not only from the WIDA Secure Portal, but also from WIDA AMS. And we'll talk about how to do that in WIDA AMS when we get to that particular module. Now, the results of the WIDA Screener for kindergarten and the WIDA Screener online, once you've administered that, and the student is identified as an English learner, then that must be shared with the parents within first 30 days, calendar days of enrollment, or 2 weeks of enrollment during the school year. And you also will have to manually add your students not only into WIDA AMS if you're testing with the WIDA Screener online, and then when you get those results, you'll want to manually add those into Infinite Campus for both the WIDA screener online and the WIDA screener for kindergarten, because our office, the Office of Assessment Accountability, does not add those. We do not pre-populate that information in there for you. And then like I said, what you want to do, we do have beginning of the school year guidance for you for kindergarten and WIDA screener online. So what you want to do is when you get ready to administer the WIDA screener, that all has to be in person for those who are physically in your building, and those students who are virtually would have to physically come into the building as well. And you want to arrange time with, to be with the parents to be able to administer the in-person for the school year. You cannot, there is no remote administration of this. So all of your EL students have to take the screener in person. Now, let's talk about the WIDA screener for kindergarten. Of course, this is your screener that you're going to do. You have a link on here that will tell you, it'll have a link on here for you to go directly to the WIDA Secure portal. Once you get there, you'll put in your username and password that you have to get to those particular materials under resources. Now, first semester kindergarten and first grade students take the oral domains of listening and speaking only. Second semester kindergarten students take all 4 domains of the listening, speaking, and reading and writing. And the reason we do that is because, they are new, and of course with any student, their first thing that they're good at is the oral part of it, which is the listening and speaking. They haven't got to the content areas of reading and writing yet in kindergarten. So that's why we start with this first when we have any new students who are taking the screener. Keep in mind, this is a paper pencil assessment. You do not use WIDA AMS for this. Everything like I said, you're going to need is in the WIDA Secure portal, except for the storybook. And that is one that you can just get off the shelf that you have in your classroom. And keep in mind, it takes up to 40 minutes to administer this particular screener. And make sure that the TA is the test administrator, that's what we call our TAs, are properly trained. They've gone through the quizzes, they've gone through the course and taken their quizzes to administer this particular assessment. Other things that you're going to need besides the storybook is the script. You're also going to need the cards, the score sheet, and the response booklet to get, so that way you can administer this properly. Now, there was a webinar. Here is the date for the webinar for the WIDA screener. The webinar was recorded, and so TAs must complete the trainings to administer it. And also, you also want to go back and watch this webinar if you have not, to get you prepared for administering this. So you've got 2 things to do as a TA. You have to go in and go through the training course, and then you have to also watch the kindergarten webinar as well. And all the webinars are recorded and available to you on the WIDA Secure portal underneath webinars. Now, with those scores, it doesn't matter regardless of the scores of the screeners for kindergarten. They must be administered the WIDA Access for kindergarten the following in January. And also, they cannot exit the EL program unless after taking the WIDA Access for kindergarten, which is the annual assessment. Now, parents can refuse EL services, but the EL students still will have to take the WIDA Access. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you're working with this population of students. Now let's move up to the WIDA screener online. Now with this one, it is administered. You can see the grade levels that it's administered. It is administered in all 4 of the domains, the language domains. Also, it is scored by the TA in speaking and writing, and the TA must have, once the TA has gone through the training course and taken the quiz on the WIDA Secure Portal, then they can go in and the DAC will go into WIDA MS and give them what they call educator scoring. And that is what you're going to need for to be able to for that student to for that TA to be able to score that student's scores in WIDA MS. Now, materials you're going to need the TA script. You're also going to need the test tickets, and you'll put the student in what we call registrations in WIDA MS. And once you have added the student into all 4 of the language domains, then you'll get to be able to print out the test tickets for each of the domains to administer those. And you want to always go in the order of listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Now, you'll also have a student test roster. You'll also have the writing test booklets for grades 1 through 3 only. But everything else will be, for all the other grade levels, will be online in every domain. So the writing is the only one that's a little bit different. You also use the notepad used online for scratch paper. If the student needs to do that, they will use what is online. And if they're testing paper, then they could use the they could use their scratch paper. You would just apply that and make sure that it is blank for the student. But when they're testing online, you always want to use the notepad. So that way it's within the screen. And so another thing is that once testing is done, you want to make sure that those tickets are securely destroyed and your scratch paper. And in between testing, you always want to make sure that you're even before testing and during testing, that all those materials are kept in a locked storage until screening is complete. Keep in mind that reading and listening take up to 15 minutes, where speaking and writing take up to 25 minutes. So it's a total of 80 minutes to be able to administer this particular assessment. And of course, it could be it could be shorter depending on the proficiency level of the student. And that goes the same with the WIDA screener for kindergarten as well. Now, to set up that information, you'll have to manually add the student, like I said, and there will be a more detail of how to add registrations to your students in module number 4. Now, the WIDA screener online, the scores, once you get those, for those, you're going to look at the overall composite. If it's an overall composite of less than a 4.5 on the WIDA screener online, the student is considered an EL student and will be placed in the EL program. And then the student will take WIDA Access in January. For grades 1 through 12, if the student scores an overall composite proficiency of a 4.5 or higher on the WIDA screener, the student is considered what we call initially fully English proficient, and the student is not EL and would not take Access in January. So that's very important, and you would also make sure to enter their scores again in manually in Infinite Campus. And we'll have a module number to be able to once the student is identified EL, of how to enter that information into Infinite Campus. Now, the WIDA screener, there are webinars too. Those will occur on August the 5th. You'll go through. There's also, it tells you the date here and the time. And we're keep in mind that that's Eastern Standard Time, and some of us are on Central Time, so adjust to that. There will be details about this webinar that you can find on the WIDA Secure portal. And you also not only, watch the WIDA Secure portal, go through that webinar and watch that and get to that from the WIDA Secure portal, but you also have to do the WIDA Screener online training course as well to administer the assessment. So don't forget that as a test administrator. And if you are not able to watch it on the 5th, that it will be recorded and available for you a week after the presentation. Another thing to keep in mind when you get ready to do any type of screeners is to also, especially for the WIDA Screener Online, is that you're going to, as your technology people, you'll want to make sure that they have gone through and watched the WIDA AMS and DRC technical enhancements for 2025, 2026 webinar recording. And that's also located on the webinars page in the WIDA Secure portal as well. Now, there are lots of resources. So like I said, make sure that your students have had the practice test so that they can be prepared for the screener. You can also see the test demos. You can also get to the practice. There's also online sample availables in WIDA AMS and DRC Insight, because the DRC Insight is the platform that you're going to be giving the WIDA screener on. Make sure that your technology coordinators need to make sure that they have the latest updates are done before you administer the screener. And they if your tech, and also that they're available if any technology issues arise during the screener. There are step-by-step instructions and how to complete tasks in WIDA AMS through the knowledge articles. And then if you're on the screen and you're trying, in each of the screens at the very top, there's what we call a question mark, top right-hand corner. So once you have you are actually logged into WIDA AMS, you'll be able to get to both of these, the knowledge articles and the question mark, which is in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And then also there's the WIDA AMS user guide, which is also in WIDA AMS. And also your technology coordinators also need to review the documents under general information in WIDA AMS to be able to make sure that they have the latest software and updates available. Also, there will be more details about WIDA AMS and how to do the WIDA Screener Online in module number 4. So look for that one for more details. Here are the screeners for both the WIDA Screener Online and the WIDA Screener for Kindergarten. Both of these you can view on the WIDA Secure portal under Resources. These are very important that you have read each of these manuals, depending on what or both of them, if you're going to administer both of those. If you're just going to administer one of them, make sure that you've read the appropriate manual and have passed the training. Also, if you've got students who have, who have an IEP or a 504 plan and are taking the screeners, that make sure that you've went over the accessibility and accommodations manual. For those, there's also the checklist that you need to print out, and you can get those through the WIDA Secure portal, and you can also see those at the back of the manual as well. But to get the printout, you can go to the WIDA Secure portal and get those accommodation checklists, both for screener and for kindergarten and for the WIDA Screener Online. Also, with this accessibility and accommodations manual, you'll also see that there's the Appendix E for those checklists that I was talking about on page 34. EL students who have an IEP or 504 also in the July Monday DAC email, there were resources for supporting ELs with disabilities. So take a look at that particular email on our KDE website underneath assessment support, and you can get to those DAC communications. There that guidance for administering the WIDA screener to ELs who are blind or visually impaired and those who are deaf and hard of hearing. So you want to take a look at those if you've got any those students as well. Here is the timeline for you for both screeners, what you should be doing. This just tells you that you want to give the home language survey, administer the screener, and then you'll want to create a current program services plan, enter that information underneath program participation, and we'll go through those in other modules and how to enter those scores in Infinite Campus as well. Other things, you want to make sure that all of your TAs have had, they've reviewed the screener trainings, have passed the quizzes. Those started as of July 1. So that's when you were to start, your TAs could be able to start taking their trainings. Make sure that they've passed those with 80% accuracy for this school year to administer those, and that you as a DAC have those on file in your district office. When testing is complete, add the scores to the WIDA screener for the calculator, because you'll also get a, for that, you'll be able to go in and input and that kindergarten's calculator is on the WIDA website. And what you'll go do is once you have completed the paper assessment, you'll go in and manually put those scores in, and then it'll be into the calculator and it'll print out a PDF of that score report. So therefore, then you can take that and enter that into IC as well. And then don't forget, there's also a WIDA screener for kindergarten interpretive guide to help you interpret what those scores mean. Keep in mind that for first semester, that kindergarten that they take the oral part of listening and speaking, and in second semester they can take all 4 domains. Now with the WIDA screener for kindergarten, we've talked about that. Now we're going to move into the WIDA screener online. Make sure that your TAs have also completed their trainings. And like I said, DACs need to make sure that the TAs are properly trained each year and that their current year certificates are on file in your district office. And before assigning, before you assign educator scoring in WIDA AMS, make sure that the TA is properly monitoring and maintaining test security at all times for both screeners. Also, another thing is that when you go in to take your quizzes for the first time, you'll have to do the non-disclosure user agreement in the WIDA Secure portal. And you'll also want to print a copy of that to also give to your DAC as well, that they will need to keep with your test scores. And also, as DACs and BACs, you want to make sure that you're providing the administration code and inclusion special populations training to all of your test administrators at the beginning of the school year. So that way it covers not only screener and then also for the assessment as well. As a DAC or a BAC, you want to make sure that you have set up test sessions in WIDA AMS, that the TA has scored the speaking and writing domains in WIDA AMS, and that, with the scoring of the listening and reading domain will be automatically when they take those particular ones in WIDA AMS. That those student score reports, those are available online in WIDA AMS. And of course, those responses, once you have scored the speaking and writing domains, those scores will be available for you in WIDA AMS, which usually could take up to 15 minutes, but may take up to at least 2 hours to get those results online. So just be patient and don't think, oh my goodness, where are my score reports? It does take a little bit of time for you to see those. And then once you get those, DACs must make sure that the scores are entered, that the staff has entered those in Infinite Campus correctly, along with the other EL tabs at the beginning of the school year if the student enrolls at at the beginning, and then also if they enroll 2 week, anytime after those 2 weeks, you have 2 weeks to get all of this information done as well after the beginning of the school year. Now, timeline for accessing WIDA Screener online, you want to make sure that you're also going to do, as a DAC, you're going to also be doing data review. There will be a separate training for this for you coming out soon in communications. Also, you want to make sure that you have updated your test administrator spreadsheets for not only screener, but also for access and alternate access, because once they're on the Google form, I will assign them both they'll be able to get to the screener trainings and then also to the access and alternate access trainings that will come up. Also, they'll also have access to the WIDA e-learning only as well, that professional development. DACs need to make sure you update the permissions for the WIDA screener, also in accessing WIDA AMS. And then on the spreadsheets, you also, when you're going in to do WIDA secure portals, make sure that you're updating, new people, but also, those who need to be deleted off and no longer in your district. And if you've got others who just need the e-learning only, they're not going to be administering, but they still will be working with ELs. They may need that professional development. Please make sure to put them on that Google form as well. Make sure that your technology people coordinators are prepared, ready. They've read everything. They have watched the webinars, and they've also assessed all their information under the My Applications General Information documents in the WIDA AMS. Here are the assessment webinars that we're going to be coming up for both the WIDA Screener for kindergarten and online. And also here are the links to all of those. And of course, you have to have a login to be able to get to that. And if you're not able to make those trainings, make sure that you go back and listen to those recordings underneath the WIDA Secure Portal once they have been presented. Now, here are other back-to-school trainings. There are one on test security, case screen, and then the Kentucky Alternate Assessment Program. And then we'll have additional module trainings too that are available for your staff as well. So make sure that you have watched the for WIDA Access and WIDA Alternate Access, the five modules as well, and the additional trainings here on the screen. Here is our contact information. If you need to contact us, we have our general mailbox and also all the staff that's available here to assess you in the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support. I want to thank you again for all you do for our English learners, and appreciate each and every one of you. And know that I'm available for you anytime that you need assistance, not only with the screener, but also with the assessments. So thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.